First full week of phase 2 of its reopening plan. Joining me now is Charlotte City Council member Larken Egleston. You were deciding, right? You were the deciding swing vote that actually brought the RNC convention to Charlotte. I know that you got a lot of guff for that. So what do you think about the president's argument here? What are your concerns about filling that arena to capacity?
I just don't think it's realistic. And that doesn't mean that there can't potentially be some sort of an in-person convention here in Charlotte. But just as is the case with any event that we'd be hosting over the next couple of months or even, through the end of the year, you have to reevaluate. You have to understand that it's not going to be the way that you imagined it was going to be. I think the Democrats have been very forward about saying that the convention in Milwaukee, which would tentatively be the week before the RNC, is going to have to look very different than the convention that we held in Philadelphia 4 years ago. I was just elected to be a delegate for Joe Biden. I understand that might not mean going to Milwaukee at this point. And so I think that it's unrealistic for the president or anybody to expect Governor Cooper, our state or county health directors, to be able to guarantee anything about what 3 months from now looks like.
What would it mean, council member, economically if the RNC decides to pull out?
There'd undoubtedly be huge economic impacts. And I know that a lot of our small businesses here in town are counting on this as a shot in the arm to help recover from the economic hardships they've felt over the last 2 months. But our top priority has to continue to be the health and well-being of our citizens. And certainly the economic impact of that is part of that equation, but public health and public safety has to precede that. And I think that's what Governor Cooper, it's what Secretary Cohen, it's what our county health director have put as their priority and will continue to.
Earlier this month, the president accused the governor of, quote, playing politics with the phased approach of reopening the state. And then Governor Cooper has said that he will let data and science guide him, not politics. This is what he told CNN last week about the convention.
I think that in order to truly boost our economy, people are going to have to feel confident in their safety. And they will do that when the government shows them that we're relying on these figures. This is not political. This is not emotional. This is based on health experts, data, and science. And that's it for everybody to see. So no one is being favored or disfavored over the other.
He says it's not political. I wonder if you think there is any way the reopening cannot be politicized at this point, considering the environment we're in.
No, this entire pandemic has now become politicized, which is disappointing because I think at first, at least in our state, we were seeing a lot of bipartisan cooperation for doing what's best for the citizens of North Carolina. That seems to be fraying. The only thing, though, that would have a more dire economic impact than losing a convention of this size, along with all the other events we expected to have this fall, would be if we had to go back into some sort of a modified stay-at-home order and reverse some of this reopening that we're doing. And frankly, if we're reckless about this reopening and we're reckless about the events that we hold and what parameters are set on them, we will have to go backwards. And I think that would be even more dire for those small businesses that need that shot in the arm than the loss of any single convention.
Vice President Pence said today that the convention could be moved if need be. He mentioned Texas, he mentioned Florida, he mentioned Georgia, of course, all three of these states with Republican governors who have moved more quickly on reopening. What do you think about Pence's comments?
Well, I think it'd be quite a tall task. Years of planning go into every one of these conventions, and I think for a new venue, a new host city to be asked to pull it together in 3 months would be difficult. And frankly, I think that if the reason that they're moving is because they don't want to adhere to some of the precautions that our governor and our state health director think are necessary, I think it'd be pretty reckless of those states that might consider hosting it to do so without putting those precautions in place.
Councilman, thank you so much. We really appreciate you joining us.
Thanks for having me.